Yo, 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 what up, immortal jellyfish? It's your boy Snazzy J here, back at it again. Another lit banger of a video. So, a while back, a few months ago, I made a video called my top 100, or 100 of my favorite musical acts of all time. It was a very hastily put together, sort of haphazardly, hastily put together, just very sloppy kind of video. But I always wanted, ever since the dawn of my list videos on here, I always wanted to make an official list, and even just outside of YouTube, like just to have a definitive list of my top favorite musical acts. And I was gonna do 10, but I got carried away, and being the music enthusiast that I am, I have all of my music playlists available public on YouTube, so you can see, what I'm listening to and everything. I'm actually currently in the process of refining those. Another reason for the timing of this video, it's December 29th, I think, as of recording this video, is one thing you may not know, is that at the end of each year, I sort of, among the many things I do, in the process of analysis of my life on an annual basis, is I take a look through my music library and through each individual playlist, and I go through there and I eliminate songs that I delete songs that I just, I'm kind of over, or not, songs I've just kind of had my fill of, or I'm done with, or just, I don't really feel like hearing anymore, or, anything that I haven't played in a long time, because it's like at that point, if it's not going to be frequently played by me, if I'm not going to want to hear it a lot, then I can just look it up and listen to it when I do want to. It doesn't need to be in my playlist, so everything you'll see in my playlists are all songs that are frequently played by me, basically. So it's all stuff that I'm going to want to hear a lot. So in that process, it's sort of, I'm tying it in with determining, okay, well, what's the pattern here? What's ending up staying the most? And so, I look through my repertoire. There's I think 882 musical artists in my library, I believe, to date. So I have a 4-tier system I've developed this year that I judge music based off. Tier 1 is music that I love. Tier 2 is music that I like. Tier 3 is music that's it's okay. And then Tier 4 is music I dislike. So everything in my playlist is either going to be Tier 1 or Tier 2. So I either like it or I love it. But obviously everything I'm going to talk about in this video is going to be Tier 1 that I love. But these 100 don't even capture all of those. I originally was going to make all the rest honorable mentions, and I had 38 honorable mentions initially. And, I picked the number 38 because that still wasn't all of them, but it was most of them. And I picked up 38 because I was going to do, after, when we get to 50, I was going to do 20 honorable mentions. And then when we get to top 25, I was going to do 10 more honorable mentions. And then when we got to top 10, I was going to do 5 more honorable mentions. And then when we got to top 5, I was going to do 3 more honorable mentions. And then the top 3, I was going to do 1 more. And then before the number 1 pick, I was going to do the last honorable mention. But it got too complicated, and it took too long, so I ultimately ended up scrapping the honorable mentions. I redid the list a few different times, and I shuffled the orders around of these 100. The list itself, like the 100 musical artists on there, have remained the same for a while. I've kind of locked in on those. But the ordering I've changed around quite a bit. In fact, some of them pretty radically. There was one up here that was like number 50 something, and now it's number 90 something. So You know, like and another one that was like 25 or something, and now it's like, you know, in the top 10. So, you know, like so I've been shuffling and finalizing it around, but I've studied it very good today, and I was like, you know what, I'm happy with this ordering. But that's something I take seriously because not all of these are equal. Okay, my number 1 pick I like way more than my number 10 pick, which I like way more than my number 50 pick, which I like way more than my number 100 pick. But you got to remember, for it to make this list, this is the best of the best. So number 100 isn't crap, trust me. This isn't just a list of all the bands that I know or anything like that, because, like I said, there's 882 just in my music library, and that's not even all the music I listen to, because believe it or not, a good portion of the music that I listen to, I don't even have. I just look it up because it's what I'm in the mood to hear, you know, or I just, honestly, a lot of times I just feel like discovering new music. So it'll be something that I've never heard before, you know, or from these sources. There's various channels and places and things where I discover new music and everything. So like half the time I'm discovering new music. So when I am listening to music I know, then, you know, it's not even always from my library. And when it is, it's, you know, so this isn't a comprehensive list. I'm very pleased with myself for remembering that word. It's not a comprehensive list of, you know, everything that I listen to on this list. This is just the cream of the crop right here. This is the top 100. And 100 sounds like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really not. Now, before we get started too, I also wanted to mention that in the initial rough draft of this video, I had another list that I was going to do at the beginning of the video of musical acts that I don't like, that are somewhat similar to some of the ones on the list that I do like, you know, to avoid confusion and all that in the comment section and everything, and like, oh, what about this one? Actually, I don't like that or whatever. But it was just too, it just didn't fit in, you know, so it was too off-putting. I ended up scrapping that. There were like 12 that I had on there, but I was just like, you know what, so if you have any questions, if there's any ambiguity, if there's any like, oh, you know, did you forget about this one, or, you know, what about this band or this musical artist or whatever, what do you think about that, just ask in the comment section. I'll reply, you know, I'll let you know. So that just makes it much more straightforward and easy, so you don't have to sit through everything. I mean, somehow it's already been 8 minutes and I haven't even started the list yet, so this is what I mean. Like, could you imagine how much longer it would be until we get to the list if we did honorable mentions and if we did that list? So but there is one, okay, yeah, so I guess we're ready to get started, because I was going to say there is one honorable mention I still want to give, and then we'll get to the top 100. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to say before I get started with this. There probably is, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to get started with the list now. So the only honorable mention that I want to give before we get to the top 100 is The Caretaker. Now, this one, The Caretaker is by no means not one of my favorite musical artists, because he definitely is. It's genius. He's S rank as far as I'm concerned. I've just been blown away because it's beyond music. But the problem is, that's where the problem lies. It's beyond music. So I can't really put it alongside these other ones because it's not even the same thing. It's kind of like, if you want an idea of what The Caretaker is like, and those of you that are already familiar with him, you know exactly what I mean, but I'm assuming most of you are not. So to explain The Caretaker to someone who doesn't know, it's like, let's see, how can I relate it to something on this list? Okay, so spoiler alert, because here's one that is on the list. Strapping Young Lad from the album Alien. The bonus track on there, Info Dump. Basically, imagine that. Like, imagine if Info Dump was the whole Alien album, and then imagine if that was all of Strapping Young Lad, and like, but that doesn't even do it justice, because Info Dump is like really tame compared. It's not a tame song, but it's really tame compared to The Caretaker. I first was introduced to The Caretaker from the album Everywhere at the End of Time. Wait, let me make sure that's right. Everywhere at the End of Time. Yeah, I think that's it. It feels like there's more words in there, but I think that's the title. Everywhere at the End of Time. I listened to it once, and I'm good. That's all I need. I don't want to listen to it again. I don't need to listen to it again. But not because I don't like it, but because it's too powerful. It works too well, on me at least. So if you find yourself perusing my music playlist, you'll notice there's not a single Caretaker song on there. He's not one of the 882 artists I have on there. He's nowhere to be found. So that's why I want to go out of my way to list him as an honorable mention, because if I don't talk about him here, you'll never know that I've listened to his music or that I, respect and appreciate him. So the reason why I don't have any of the Caretaker's music is because it's not something that I would want on a playlist rotation. It's not something I'm going to want to listen to regularly. There's really no scenario I could think of where I'd want to listen to The Caretaker casually, because it's not a casual listening experience. It's highly immersive, and it's something where you listen to each of his albums once, basically. I'm not even sure each of the... I probably picked quite the one to start off with, Everywhere at the End of Time. That's probably the most intense thing he's done, I believe. Because the other stuff it's different, but it's not that. That album, that one really, really affected me. So, it's not for everyone. I get that. So, you don't necessarily barge right in there, jump into listening to the music. It's very strange, it's very abstract, it's very immersive if you let it be. You have to, dive into, you have to, give it your full attention, because it's not background music. That's what I'm trying to say. If you have it on in the background, it's going to seem boring. It's going to seem like, what is this? Why am I listening to this? This is awful, whatever. But you have to get entranced by it, basically. It's kind of hypnotic. So that's part of what makes it scary, is because it puts you in a vulnerable state of mind, and it really gets into your brain, and at least for me, I don't know. So it's very powerful, and not to mention, Everywhere at the End of Time is a 6.5-hour album, and I listened to it in one sitting. I didn't even go to the bathroom or anything. So, it's quite lengthy. And all my entire sense of time just did not exist for those 6.5 hours. So, it was quite the experience. But like I said, I'm good now. It's an album you listen to once, and you're like, okay, well, that was an experience. It's not music. It's not like a casual thing. It's not something you're going to be singing along to, because, by the way, all of it's instrumental. So, but anyway, I think you get the gist of that. So The Caretaker is the only one of the 38 that I wanted to still talk about, just because, you're not going to see any of his music on my playlist. So like I said, if I don't talk about him here, you'll never know that I like him. But yeah, The Caretaker, respect his music. He's just unbelievably talented. And yeah, I'll probably listen to whatever else he puts out next, but it's kind of a one and done kind of deal. I'll listen to it once, and then I'm good. All right, moving on to the list now. So, by the way, this is going to be part 1, and I'm just going to go until it gives me the warning that it's going to stop in 1 minute, and then I'll kind of wrap up wherever I am then, and then the next one will be part 2. So I'm not sure how many parts there's going to be, maybe 5 or 6, I don't know. But, yeah, we'll see how far we get here. Okay, so, excuse me. All right, my number 100 pick is Xerath. So Xerath, that is Xerath. I don't know how to put it on the screen. I don't edit my videos, so, it's whatever. Actually, I might type all these out in the description, though, so. I'm not sure. Anyway, so Xerath, Xerath is a very solid metal band, I think. Metal is my favorite genre, and I think Xerath really does it well. The elements of sort of cinematic nature, it's very well produced. I would define it, I guess, as melodic death metal. There's choral elements to it. There's a storyline. It's sci-fi. There's whatever. They have currently a trilogy of albums: Xerath 1, 2, and 3. They're all great. They sound relatively similar. So you get a few of their songs and you kind of get the idea of the sound. But if you want to just listen to them beginning to end, so you get a sample of the story. I mean, the story, it's nothing like revolutionary. I mean, especially if you've already heard things like Mechina and Arion and all that, kind of been spoiled to the whole scene. But it's still good. It's good music, and I think it's really solid because I always enjoy it. I love it's great with headphones. I love the layering, the complexities, the polyphonality or polyphonic, whatever. I love how it's multi-layered and the compression on it and just the whole the production quality. It sounds really good. So I like the sound of it. I like the soundscapes that it forms. It's very vivid. Like I can feel everything. It's more than just hearing it, and I think that's a common theme that you'll find with most of these on here, is that they're all things that elicit powerful emotions and responses from me. It's not just like, oh yeah, that was cool, I guess. Like this music on this list is all stuff that I'm very passionate about. So Xerath is definitely a qualifying candidate for that. So yes, very, I love the soundscapes, I love the layering. I just love everything about them. So, let's see. Freshest on My Mind is the first Xerath album. What songs are on there? Let's see. Right to Exist, I know. That one's, I think, the last one. Which one has the video? I think it's like the fifth. Because that one was pretty cool. They all are. I'm just trying to think of, like, what should you start with? I don't know. I mean, the important thing for me is to talk about the bands. I don't always have to give song recommendations for them. But yeah, so number 100 is Xerath. If you're wondering how to spell it, just basically it starts with an X, not a Z. So as long as you know that, you should be able to figure it out from there. All right, number 99, 40 Below Summer. So let's see, 40 Below Summer is I guess sort of a hardcore band or a post-rock, maybe. I don't know. I hesitate to call them metal. They might be like alternative metal, possibly, I guess. I don't know. They're not quite rock and they're not quite metal. They're just in this gray area that's in that area. But I don't know. It's a very specific type of music is what it is, and they're not alone in that genre. There's many, many bands that are like that. But it's, I don't know. Just listen to them and decide for yourself. I'd say most people would probably consider them metal, I guess. But yeah, so 40 Below Summer, I don't know what to say. I mean, I like the sounds. I like what I hear from them. Let's see, the most recent album I've heard from them is Fire at Zero Gravity. I'm not going to say every song on there slaps, because there's a couple on there that are like, okay, yeah, it's a little cringy, or, whatever, because they're one of those kind of bands, you get that with hardcore stuff a lot. But for the most part, it's a solid album, I think. Let's see, you got songs like Coalesce, right, which is like one of their best ones, Eternal, Our Own December, Earthquake, What are some other standouts? I mean, those are like, those are the good ones. And then from their other albums, I think from The Morning After, which was either their debut or it was one of their early albums, the song Rain, and then Anxiety 101. I mean, so they have a lot of good songs. And so obviously, for a band to make this list, I have to be familiar with their entire discography. Because I don't think it's fair to just listen to like one album from a band and judge them just based off that, because there's a lot of diversity of 500, as you'll find from other things on this list, that not all bands just put out the same album over and over again. Sometimes their catalog is very varied, so you never really know what you're in for, so you kind of just got to listen to it all and before you make an analysis. So yeah, 40 Below Summer. I like them. Good band. Some of it crosses into that, kind of cringy territory a little bit, because it gets a little. I don't want to say emo, but because by the way, I'm gonna go ahead and I mean get your dislike finger ready. I don't like emo music in general. I'm sorry. There are a few bands, that I don't mind, because, I don't know why. Like Chiodos is like, I'm supposed to hate them. I should hate them. There's really no reason why I don't. I guess it's a guilty pleasure kind of. Chiodos, I think they're fine for the most part. Some of their songs are annoying, but I can tolerate Chiodos. I don't mind that, even though they're pretty much as emo as they get. But just a lot of this other stuff, the whole, I don't like the emo scene, so you got bands like My Chemical Romance and Panic at the Disco and Black Veil Brides and all that stuff, and I can't get into it, I'm sorry. So I don't like emo music, but I love rock and I love metal and all that stuff, so that's why when I say cringy, it usually implies emo kind of stuff. But 40 Below Summer, I don't know. I mean, post-emo music, I probably don't like that any better, but I'm just kind of less familiar with it. But I guess that might be where this lies, because some of it definitely does cross into that territory where I can see people labeling it as emo. But the songs I suggested, songs like Coalesce, Eternal, Earthquake, Our Own December, whatever, like all that stuff, I think is, it's kind of removed from all that, All right, anyway, number 98. Number 98, Cerebellian. So Cerebellian is just a really cool band. I discovered them through Space and Travel with their song Savior, which is either a single or it's from an upcoming album or something, but in any case, it's pretty new. It's, I think, from last year. And so I listened to their back catalog from there, and I was thoroughly impressed. Let's see, some of their best songs are like If Only, Thin Ice, Nothing Left, Savior, oh, and there was another one they put out too, from Space and Travel, which was also pretty recent. So I guess they must have a new album coming out. It might actually be out by now. I don't know. I haven't checked in on them in a little while. I'm really digging their style. I think their music is immersive. It's kind of tame. I mean, compared to the last three, it's definitely lighter. It's on the lighter side of things. They're kind of a soft rock, maybe just rock band. They're not like a hard rock or anything like that, but I enjoy things from all across the spectrum, as I'm sure you'll find out as we go through this list. Some of the stuff may really surprise you. So Cerebellian, I mean, I like the stories, I find most of their songs tend to tell very interesting stories, and I I like that, and I like, you know, the songs themselves lyrically, and I like the method of delivery and the vocals and the harmonies and how it's delivered. I like the percussion and the bass and the leads and all that stuff. You know, I like the whole presentation of it. It's all in a nice bundle, and it's a format that's pretty easy to listen to, pretty agreeable. You know, it's like soft rock. I mean, who doesn't like soft rock, right? Like, it's just a universally liked genre. But you know, it's kind of alternative soft rock in a way too, where some of it can be a little bit offbeat or a little bit, you know, they can take it in some weird directions. But I always enjoy the ride with them. So Cerebellian definitely gets the place on this list. All right, number 97, Orbit Culture. Oh yeah, we're back in the metal now. So Orbit Culture, basically, like, they check every mark for a heavy metal band. So when you listen to them, you might hear a lot of their predecessors in there too. You probably hear some Gojira, some Meshuggah, some Metallica. In fact, the vocalist kind of sounds very similar to the Metallica guy. I'm sorry, yeah, I say the Metallica guy. Yeah, all right. Like, you call yourself a metalhead and you don't know. I'm sorry, man, but I don't know. Metallica's not on this list. I'm sorry. I don't mean to spoil it for you, but yeah. But anyway, so you know, it kind of sounds almost exactly like that in the choruses of some of the songs, and even like the bridges and stuff. And then as far as the verses go, it's more like Gojira or Meshuggah or anything like that. But it's a very interesting little ball that they've rolled up into. But yeah, very interesting band, very interesting lore, and the songs themselves, it's less canonical, it's less serialized. From what I've inferred, it seems to be standalone songs. I can't really seem to make a connection between each of the songs, so they're not really a concept album or a prog kind of band. They're more just like that classic metal kind of thing where, you know, each song's just a standalone, so that's fine. So let's see, what are probably just start with their most popular songs: The Shadowing, Saw, oh man, what's the other one? There's three of them. Shadowing, Saw, and that third one's a good one too. It's probably like the top 3 results on YouTube or something if you just type in Orbit Culture. But anyway, or maybe it was the top of the recommended after I watched one of them. I don't know. But I listened to their other stuff too, and I was like, yeah, it was pretty solid. I mean, you kind of know what to expect from them, but obviously the production quality is very good. It's a lot of the same stuff from Xerath, except it's more standalone in structure, but it's really catchy. I'll find myself just, humming some of that, like, yeah, you know what, I'm not going to sing, all right? I'm not going to sing in this video. I'll save that for, the videos where singing's in the title. Yeah, suffice to say, I get the melody stuck in my head sometimes. So Orbit Culture is a solid band, and I really like them. Okay, number 96 is going to be the Dismemberment Plan. So they are not rock or metal at all. They are an alternative indie acoustic band, I guess. That whole scene. So I really like them. They're very interesting, and I'm trying to think. So some of the albums they have, The Uncanny Valley, I think, that was either their debut, or no, their debut, I think, was The Dismemberment Plan is Terrified, and that has songs like Ice of Boston, and all those kind of classics. And then Uncanny Valley has like You Are Invited, and Oh yeah, yeah. I'm remembering the set list from that. Oh, Uncanny Valley is probably the best album. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Those first two, and then they came back. They took a hiatus for a while, and they came back with the album Change, and that album slaps really hard too. They come on there strong with Sentimental Man, and then it transitions into, I forget what the second song is, but it's just like one after another on that album. It's all great. So all three of those albums, and then they have another one with songs like Go and Get It, Invisible. I forget what the name of that album is, but their entire discography, it's varied and yet also consistent. Like you'd be able to identify any of those songs as a Dismemberment Plan song, but they also kind of mix it up while staying in the genre, checking certain boxes and everything. They still are able to kind of mix it up. So it's very unique. Like the first time I heard the song You Are Invited, for example, I was like, I didn't know where it was going to go. I was intrigued. So it's like a story. There's stories and songs. Ice of Boston is probably the most popular song, so you should start with that one. That'll give you an idea for the kind of thing, just the kind of, just sort of like wacky energy that they can have in there too, where it's like these serious things told in like a lighthearted way, and they're also talented musicians and everything, and it's just really cool. So Dismemberment Plan, definitely check them out. They're an awesome band, and I've loved everything I've heard from them. So okay, so let's see.